Now, let us say hello to our next guest. Always a pleasure to be joined by the one and only Dominick Cruz. There he is, standing by. Dominick,
Hi.
how are you?
What's up? Good. How are you, Ariel?
Wow, I have so much to ask you about, but first, I'm just dying to know, like, Israel Adesanya, from your perspective, one of the greatest minds in the history of the sport. Can you tell us if you were impressed by what he did on Saturday?
I mean, of course. How can you not be impressed, These guys, at the level that they're competing at, we've got a new level of athlete because we don't just have super athletes now that are highly athletic, explosive, strong. Calvin and Israel both have that. But now we've got guys that are understanding how to move and making reads and making adjustments. And when you watch this sport 10 years ago, you weren't seeing any of the techniques that Adesanya used. You weren't seeing any of the techniques that almost 100% of the UFC is using now. Angles, switching stance, spin attacks, spinning kicks, spinning back fists. I mean, we see those things a little bit here and there in the day, but now it's all the time. And so there's just levels to this thing, and it's fun to watch the sport continue to explode.
Okay, now, as far as you are concerned, I think you're in Vegas right now, correct?
Yeah, I'm actually at the Performance Center. I got a workout to do right now. I just did PT on my shoulder.
Yes.
And, and then that's it.
You've been chronicling your road back to recovery, back to 100% health on Instagram, and I appreciate it. How are you feeling right now? How is the shoulder?
It's feeling really good. In the past, I didn't post a lot of stuff about my injuries and my comebacks because, I had my own boxes that I was putting myself in. I had my own belief systems. As things have gone through with all the injuries that I've sustained at this point, I've realized that whether I like it or not, part of my story, most of my story is injuries and coming back from them. And so it's only fair that I share that with people for them to get through their own injuries. So I'm doing most I can to give that out to others so that they can understand what can be done when they have their own injuries. I get so many questions about it.
What kind of timeline are we looking at?
Ariel, it's the shoulder when you first tear the tendon that I did. Labram's different. Labram's a little bit quicker than what I did. I tore the tendon actually off the bone, which is the subscapularis tendon. I tore off the bone. So now that they chopped that a little shorter and pushed it into the bone, it'll be stronger than it was before the surgery, before ever. So I won't have to worry about it again, but it's a 6-month surgery total. I'm about halfway through.
Okay, so perhaps third, fourth quarter of this year is reasonable?
Yeah, it's reasonable, definitely. Okay. And I'm always trying to be back as soon as possible, but with what I've done, I've been out long enough. I mean, what's another couple months going to do at this point?
Now, I don't know if you'll be surprised to hear this out of my mouth, but I am dying to know your thoughts on TJ Dillashaw's suspension. And we found out last week that he tested positive for EPO, and then they went back and tested him again from a test that they said he initially passed in December of this past year, 28th to be exact. They said that he had EPO in his system back then. What do you make of this?
Well, what do I make of this? It's just such a broad question. What do you actually want to know, Ariel?
Were you surprised when you heard about this?
I'm not. I don't really have any kind of attachment to any kind of drug testing. And I really don't, of anybody, because there's just no point. I can't control it. That's USADA's job. It's the UFC's job. So was I surprised? I wouldn't have been surprised if he did or he didn't test dirty, to be honest.
Okay. A lot of people have come out and said, oh, of course, we knew this. Cody has talked about this. Other foes, Team Alpha Male people, saying that this is something that has been talked about in the community. Was this something that you had heard about him in the past, that he was cheating?
Well, I mean, if you heard what Cody said, he said that, and in the press conference, I was shocked that he said it. He said, TJ taught Team Alpha Male how to use it. I'm like, really? And then you're going to sit here and say that he's the only one using it? It just makes no sense. You just said that he taught the whole team. So it's just interesting to me. And, of course, you hear them say that we've been saying this, Uriah Faber. I'm surprised he didn't get caught earlier.
Yeah.
Cody, I'm surprised he didn't get caught earlier. All this stuff, but it's like, man, you were part of his camp while he taught you guys. So what are you really talking about?
Right. So you feel like they're almost indicting themselves as well while they're trying to throw dirt on him?
I'm not saying that. I just don't see what the logic was in saying that. It just made no sense. It's like you're throwing yourself under the bus with him. He's part of your team and he taught all you guys, and you guys trained together for how many years? And whether that's true or not, it doesn't matter. I have no control over it, and none of it's factual. It's all hearsay. Even TJ and everything before December, before the testing has been done to say what he tested dirty for, it's all hearsay. It's just none of it matters. None of it matters. All that matters is what I can control. And if I sat and started worrying about people being dirty before I get into these fights with them, what am I doing?
So obviously TJ's, ascension and his first performance against Renan Barão was incredible. What an upset that was. And then he was just on this, like the rematch was even more impressive. And he was kind of known for one of those guys who, had great cardio and would keep on pushing, and he was hard to put away in the later rounds. And now you find out about EPO, and that's the PD that helps you have great cardio and to keep on pushing and to outlast your opponent. Do you feel like this is something that forever tarnishes? Like, do you look at his legacy differently now?
It's not about how I look at it. Everything comes to me, in my opinion, because I'm on this interview. Yeah, that's what I care about. Yeah, I get that. But realistically, Ariel, I have no attachment to TJ Dillashaw or his decisions. I just don't. He chose this. I actually feel bad for him. I think that regardless of what I think, the world believes that there's an asterisk next to it. Same with John Jones. There's an asterisk next to the story. So at this point, I think he's going to come back. 2 years really is nothing. I've been out longer than that, injured.
That's true.
And he's just going to get healthy. That's all. All that's going to happen is TJ Dillashaw is going to take 2 years, raise his kid, probably be a good father to his son, or his kid, which is probably better to his family. He's going to heal up. Who knows what he's going to do in this off time? Who knows how much healthier, how much better he gets? Who knows if he fills in gaps? I honestly think that when TJ Dillashaw comes back, he's going to be better than he was when he left, because he's going to be rested and he's going to have time for his family. And I can tell you that 2 years suspension really isn't nothing. I mean, I've lost more years than that due to injury. So this really doesn't. It's being played out as a much bigger picture than it is. If we're going to make him testing dirty EPO this big of a deal, then what's 2 years?
Oh, you think it should be more? Is that not enough of a deterrent? 2 years?
No, it's not that. It's just that 2 years isn't anything. I don't know why we're making this such a big deal.
I think you could sympathize with that because you've had unfortunate luck being injured for that long. But I mean, that a top level fighter could fight 4 times, 5 times in 2 years. No, I mean that's a lot of paydays.
It is. I mean, there's money in the bank, but the dude's been a multiple time champion. And how much money did he make since that dirty testing that he gets to sit on? So he's doing just fine. I mean, he made plenty of money. He might not. The way I see it, Ariel, is when you get a situation like this, it teaches a fighter what it feels like to be retired. If anything, it's a gift if you choose it right. There's been no unfortunate luck that you're going to hear me say I had through all these injuries, Ariel. I'm more happy. I'm more sharp. I'm better than I've ever been in my entire life as a human being. So to say that injuries were unfortunate luck would be completely wrong. Completely.
Okay. That's interesting perspective. He's actually come out I obviously, PEDs are PEDs. Everyone has their take on them. But the fact that he has come out, no excuses, has owned up to it, went on his Instagram and did this video, again, not offering any excuses. I actually think his team has done him no favors by, his coach, his strength and conditioning coach. I thought his diatribe did him no favors. But I think what TJ has said and done has been commendable if we're going to compare him to other people who have been caught. What did you make of that? Were you surprised that he was that upfront about it? Because we've obviously seen people say, tainted supplement and this and that, all kinds of excuses. He's offered none of that.
Well, I mean, when you did the investigation, the tainted supplements actually came through, right, for those people. And it actually was true. There were tainted supplements. Maybe there's a possibility that he knew there were no tainted supplements. So he didn't fight it because there was nothing to fight. He knew what he did, and he just fessed up to it. If you think about it, how much money did he make
in those fights?
Was it worth it?
Right.
And for 2 years, I mean, it's just something to think about. 2 years, nothing. I've been out longer than that.
I have to admit, you're kind of blowing my mind right now, Dominic. I thought you were going to come in and be quite aggressive towards him and cheating and things like that, but you're taking a different approach. Not one that I'll say I disagree with, but I just didn't expect it.
Well, I got to tell you, Ariel, I'm in a different place in my life where I realize the things I can control and I can't control. And there's one more thing. I built my style to beat people who were cheating. I started in this sport at 155 pounds. So I was tiny. I had to be fighting people that were stronger, longer. And if they got a hold of me or if they literally laid a finger on me, I'd probably be pretty badly hurt because they had 30 pounds on me on fight night sometimes. So my whole style was built around guys that either, because when I came in the sport, this was 10, 15 years ago. I mean, you see some of these guys in the sport then, there's a reason USADA got brought in. So I had to adjust my style to that. So if these guys are still doing that, I've been doing it since I started. I've had the mindset of facing cheaters or whatnot since I started this sport, and my style was built around beating people who decided to use that because there were no steps in the sport early on to take care of it like there is now. So now my style was different because it was built to not take damage and not get touched and to constant fluid movement, constant head movement, constant footwork. Now you're seeing all that, and it just looks like the style nowadays. But realistically, that's because the sport has adjusted to the fact that everybody's strong, everybody's a super athlete, and so the damage has to be minimal. So you're seeing better footwork, you're seeing better head movement, you're seeing better defense, you're seeing better offense. And that all comes with the progression of the sport, but it also comes with the sport just adapting, evolving. And I had a style that was built that has stayed relevant through the evolution of the sport. And because of that, I haven't taken too much damage regardless of whether people have cheated, whether I know or not, or whether they have, beat me. Even getting beat, I haven't taken as much damage as a lot of people. So it's a matter of I've already thought about it. It was already part of my regimen, Ariel, to deal with these types of scenarios. So when you bring it up, it has no effect on me. Like I've already been thinking this way, that people were doing that. So I've already dealt with it.
As a result of his suspension, Marlon Moraes is going to fight Henry Cejudo for the vacant title. Who do you like in that fight? How do you see it playing out?
I like that fight for the division because Moraes, to me, I think Moraes would be a great champion for the division right now, to be honest. I'm hurt, and I'm about authentic people as champions. I'm not about necessarily always the greatest fighter on earth. The champion is the greatest fighter on earth generally, but authentic people are few and far between. And an authentic champion is almost impossible to find. And I see something like Moraes that could possibly be one of those types of people. And those are the ones that spark intrigue in the masses and make people want to be part of the sport, make people want to join it. Not the ones who, you can't even know who they are or what they're saying or if they mean what they say. And that's just as the personality base. And who would be a good champion to hold a division in a strong point, I think, Moraes. Now, as for the fight itself, I think that it could go either way. That's a tough fight for both these guys. I mean, you got the wrestling of Cejudo, but I really do believe that it's a tougher fight for Henry than it is for Moraes.
Tougher fight for Henry than it is Moraes, only because he's moving up or because of the style?
Both.
Okay.
I think that Henry can do, if he comes out and fights Moraes the way he did TJ, that was a style, that was a game plan. Sprint out the gate, keep TJ on his heels. I think tactics like that will always work really well for Henry. And it's just a matter of, if the fights go longer, does he have the experience to stay comfortable for the 5 rounds against a big kickboxer who can move.
Ultimately, are you picking Marlon?
Well, I might be calling that, Ariel, so I don't know.
Okay, my
we
bad.
Can't do that, can we?
No.
You never know. I don't know where they're going to put me. I literally
You don't know this far in advance? I mean, we're less than 2 months away. When do they tell you?
They might have told me already, Ariel, but I'm in the moment, man.
Okay.
I look at my calendar like I was on. If I would have, I'm not thinking what's after this. I'm right here.
Sure, fair enough.
So I do have something to do, but I'll check my calendar. If you want me to check, I can.
No, it's okay.
That's my brain.
It's okay. I understand, and I respect the fact that as broadcasters, you don't want to make those predictions. It's only right. I'm just curious. By the way, before I let you go, a couple of weeks ago, your old pal Uriah Faber said that he is itching to come back, and it looks like he is going to come back. Are you surprised to hear this from him?
No, I think he wanted to have a kid, probably is why he stopped, it looked like. I mean, he had a kid, so that makes sense. That would be the only guess I could think of why you would stop being him, because he was still healthy. So good for him. Congratulations on that. And for coming back to fighting, if there was a time, I mean, I hate to say it, but if there was a time we needed another 135er that had a name behind him, it'd be now, right?
Right.
TJ out, Cody out, Moraes there. I wish I was in there, and I'm sorry to be letting the division down. But he was one of the catalysts that helped build it. He never won a world title in the UFC. So if there was ever a shot for him, maybe this is it.
Are you interested in that fight again, or are you done with Uriah?
I already fought him, man. I mean, if he can get the title and I fight him for the title, so be it. But let's be honest. Like, I just got to get myself healthy.
Yeah.
And show up to a fight right now. And I understand that. I'm not silly. I understand what's really going on. I see, that's what matters, is just getting into this next fight. And I just want to compete, Ariel. Like you said, there's a lot of paychecks to be made out there, and I deserve one of them. And I want to go earn it. And I love doing this. I love still giving back to the sport, but I can also give back to the sport through fighting. And I can bring new things to the sport. I still think even now, new ideas, new movements, new fundamentals, new things. And that's what I want to also be part of.
You're not getting paychecks from fighting, but you're doing a great job on TV as always. And I want to say congratulations to not only you, but the birthday boy, Gilbert Melendez. Your new show, Unlocking Victory, is really great, especially for those that love the technical side of the sport. You guys do a great job of previewing these fights in a different manner, really literally showing us in the cage what to expect, what makes these fighters great, how the fighters match up. It's a great idea. It's a fun new addition to the roster of shows that we get now from the new ESPN UFC partnership. So kudos. Keep it up, my man.
Thanks, Ariel. Appreciate it, man.
And congrats to your boy, Brendan, for getting re-signed to the UFC.
Yeah, Brendan Loughnane in the 145-pound division gets another UK bloke to bring on. I call him the dirtiest pikey I know. He is hilarious, man. But you guys are going to love getting to know him, and he's a good training partner of mine, good friend, good human. Good things coming for him.
Awesome. Hope good things coming for you too, Dom. Thank you very much for the time as always. Good luck with the rehab. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Ariel.